The story begins when a little dog suddenly starts acting strange. Usually, this lazy little dog would just lie around all day. But on this day, it kept barking frantically at the old man outside the door. Other people could not understand it, but Ethan recognized it immediately. This dog was Bailey, the one who had once stayed by his side. By then, Ethan and Hannah were already old. They had long since cut off contact with their daughter-in-law Gloria. This risky visit was only because they wanted to see their granddaughter CJ, whom they had not seen in years. But Gloria gave them no chance at all and directly turned the two old people away. Bailey could only run to the window and keep barking at Ethan. Ethan gently touched it and told it to keep taking care of CJ for him. In truth, this kind of protection had already started in its previous life. Back then, after going through several reincarnations, Bailey had finally returned to Ethan again. But the peaceful life on the farm did not last very long. Before long, a little girl came into the family. She was CJ, the daughter left behind by Ethan's son. CJ lost her father when she was very young. Ethan and Hannah treated her like a treasure, but Gloria only cared about herself and often left the child alone. One time, Gloria was busy on the phone and did not notice that CJ had wandered off to the horse barn by herself. Bailey was the first to sense the danger and immediately rushed over. By the time it got there, CJ had already crawled inside the fence, and the strange presence had startled the horse. Bailey instantly stood in front of CJ. Luckily, Ethan arrived just in time and saved the child. But that incident still did not make Gloria change. She was still careless with the child and clearly hated life on the farm. Ethan saw that very clearly, and he also knew Gloria's heart had never been there. Later, he simply told her that if she wanted to leave, he and Hannah were willing to keep CJ and raise her themselves. But that kindness only made Gloria even more suspicious. She became convinced that the two old people wanted to use the child as an excuse to take the insurance money left behind by her husband. After the argument, Gloria still insisted on taking CJ away. Ethan and Hannah could not stop her and could only watch the car drive away. Bailey wanted to chase after them, but its body was already getting weaker and weaker. Not long after, Ethan felt a lump on Bailey's body. The test results were terrible. It was a malignant tumor. The vet made it clear that all they could do now was make Bailey as comfortable as possible for the rest of its days. After CJ was taken away, Bailey's condition declined even faster. Before it died, Ethan stayed by its side and told it that if it ever came back again, it should go take care of CJ, just like it had once taken care of him. Bailey could not understand every single word, but it understood what Ethan meant. And so, it stepped into another reincarnation. When it woke up again, Bailey had become a little female beagle. Later it got a new name, Molly. At the shelter, life was not too bad. Until one day it caught a familiar scent. The little girl who had come to adopt another dog was CJ, a bit older now. Bailey immediately realized that the person it had been looking for was right in front of it. It rushed forward desperately, trying to jump into CJ's arms. In the end, CJ did take it home. Even though Gloria did not like dogs, Molly still stayed because CJ insisted. After leaving the farm, Gloria's life had always been a mess. She drank too much, stayed out all night, and could hardly be called a caring mother. CJ had gotten used to being alone since childhood, and Molly's arrival finally made her a little less afraid at night. She would hug Molly under the blankets and tell it all kinds of things. Molly could not understand the words, but it knew it was supposed to stay by her side. As time passed, CJ slowly grew up. She also became friends with a boy named Trent, who often walked the dog with her. Molly and Trent's dog Rocky had come from the same litter, but Rocky was clearly nowhere near as smart as Molly. CJ loved music and often held her guitar while talking about what she was thinking. Molly would just sit quietly beside her and listen. 7 years passed very quickly. CJ was still the same girl who loved music. She had always wanted to go to New York with the money her father had left behind and do what she truly wanted to do. But she had no idea that the money was already gone. Around that time, CJ met a boy named Shane. Because she had grown up without a father, and because Gloria had always been unreliable, CJ was especially innocent when it came to love, and very quickly got together with Shane. But Shane was not a good person at all. The first time he came up to talk to CJ outside the supermarket, Molly had already smelled that something was wrong. Later, CJ even secretly went to one of Shane's parties without telling her family. The police raided the place, and she ended up being sentenced to 100 hours of community service. The place where she did that service was a center that trained dogs to help screen for cancer. Those trained dogs only had to smell a person's nasal scent to tell if something was wrong. Molly watched from the side and actually picked up that skill little by little. And later on, that ability ended up saving Trent's life. After all that trouble, Ethan and Hannah finally found out where Gloria and CJ were living, and they went to see their granddaughter. That led to the scene from the beginning. Even though Gloria drove them away, Ethan had already recognized Bailey and once again handed it the task of continuing to protect CJ. After that, Shane showed up again. CJ already wanted to break things off with him, but Shane refused to let go and even became violent. Molly did not hesitate for a second and bit him, which finally drove him away. When CJ got home and told Gloria what had happened, Gloria did not comfort her at all. Instead, she blamed CJ for not knowing how to deal with men. Only then did CJ finally see her mother clearly and decide to leave with Molly. But just as she was about to go, Gloria told her the truth. The money her father had left behind had already been spent by Gloria. Those pretty clothes, the alcohol, and the life Gloria had been living were all supported by that money. After hearing that, CJ completely lost faith in that home and left with Molly without looking back. But not long after they got on the road, Shane chased after them in his car. CJ tried to get away, but he rammed into them directly. After the crash, Shane fled the scene, leaving behind an injured CJ and Molly who was barely hanging on. Before it died, Bailey remembered the little CJ it had once protected on the farm and understood that this life was ending too. But it also knew that its mission was not over yet, so it reincarnated once again. This time it became a very large dog. Later it was called Big Dog. Big Dog was adopted by a family who ran a convenience store. They treated it well, but it had no way to leave the store and go find CJ. Until one day it finally caught CJ's scent again. By then, CJ had already grown up and just happened to pass by there. Big Dog immediately got excited and even did the same trick CJ had once taught Molly, hoping she would recognize it. But the body had changed, so of course CJ could not tell who it was. It desperately chased after the car, but no matter how hard it ran, it could not catch up. After that, Big Dog waited by the convenience store every single day for CJ, but she never came back. Until the day it died, it never saw her again. After that, Bailey reincarnated for CJ a third time. This time, it became a Yorkshire Terrier and was later named Max. At the adoption fair, it snarled at everyone, because it did not want to be taken away by anyone else. It only wanted to wait for CJ. And finally, one day, it heard that familiar voice again and immediately rushed out, all the way to an apartment building. But when the elevator doors closed, its leash got caught and nearly strangled it. Luckily, CJ saved it in time. The staff told CJ that this dog usually tried to bite everyone, yet stayed especially calm around her. And since it was going to be euthanized the next day, CJ finally decided to take Max home. By then, CJ was already grown up. She was living with her boyfriend, life was not easy, and she still had not let go of her dream of music. Her boyfriend never said much on the surface, but in truth he did not support her music at all. After Max came home, it met Trent again. After all those years, this boy who had always been by CJ's side had never really gone far. To help CJ see the person in front of her clearly, Max began causing problems on purpose. Before long, CJ and her boyfriend had a huge argument, and he directly dismissed her dream of music. That was how the two of them finally broke up. Without that boyfriend, CJ's life became even harder. She could only survive by taking odd jobs. One day while walking the dog, she unexpectedly ran into Trent again. Trent quickly realized she was not doing well and offered to let her move into his place. Not long after that, Trent's health started showing problems too. Max suddenly smelled that something was wrong with him and immediately did the same warning behavior Molly had once learned. That instantly reminded CJ of the smart little dog she had when she was younger, so she quickly urged Trent to go to the hospital for a checkup. The results showed that he had cancer. Luckily, it had been caught early, so his chances of recovery were very high. While Trent was going through treatment, CJ stayed by his side the whole time. Max stayed there too. After treatment, Trent finally recovered, and the relationship between the two of them slowly returned to its most natural form.